I want you to picture something with me. A standard white, legal-sized envelope.
Okay.
Nothing special about it. It's light, just paper. You can buy a whole box of them for like $5.
Right.
Now, imagine your job is just to take that envelope from some law office and drive it maybe 5 miles to a house. You walk up, hand it over, and you leave.
Sounds like the easiest job in the world.
Exactly. It's basically delivering a pizza, but without the car smelling like pepperoni.
It does sound incredibly mundane when you frame it that way. But, looking at the stack of documents we have today, that envelope, it isn't just paper.
Yep.
It's effectively a legal hand grenade. And if you don't handle it with absolute precision, down to the exact inch of where you place it and who you hand it to, the whole thing just blows up.
That is exactly the vibe I got reading through this.
Yeah.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into the world of Lafayette process servers.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to admit, before this, my entire understanding of the job came from, Seth Rogen movies.
Oh, yeah. The Hollywood version.
All disguises, car chases, and yelling, "You got served!"
It's a fun image, for sure, but the reality we're seeing in these documents, especially the legal governance mandate and this warning about Lake Charles, it's much more about rigid procedure than any kind of theatrics.
It's less Pineapple Express and more civil procedure code.
Exactly.
We're going to break down what these professionals actually do, because delivering the envelope is a high-stakes game. And we have this really specific, almost terrifying concept in here called the Calcasieu Curveball.
That part is fascinating. It really shows how much geography can dictate justice.
We'll definitely get to that.
Yeah.
It's a trap that could apparently destroy a legal case just because you crossed a parish line.
It's wild.
We also have some context from a sponsorship doc that connects this whole operation to a company called 337 Media. But let's start with the basics. The identity crisis. Who are these people?
Well, the source material is surprisingly aggressive about defining who they are not. The very first thing that jumps out is this bold disclaimer. Lafayette Process Servers, LLC are not law enforcement.
Why do they even need to say that? Do people really confuse them with cops?
All the time. Think about it. A stranger pulls up, maybe in an unmarked car, holding official documents, walking with purpose toward your door.
Yeah, your heart rate goes up.
Right. The document makes it explicit they have no police powers. They can't arrest you. They aren't there to enforce anything in a physical sense.
So if I just refuse to take the papers, they can't slap cuffs on me?
Absolutely not. In fact, if they even tried, they'd be breaking the law themselves. They're civilians.
Okay.
But, and this is a huge but, they are civilians operating under a very specific shield. The source cites the Louisiana Code of Civil Procedure, Article 1293.
Article 1293. It sounds like a secret agent designation or something. What does that actually do?
It's basically the court's magic wand. Without Article 1293, that envelope is just mail. If I hand you a letter, legally it means nothing. But when a process server, appointed under Article 1293, hands you that same letter, a massive legal clock starts ticking.
Ah.
It transforms the physical act into a constitutional event. It satisfies due process.
Okay, that makes sense. It's the difference between hearing a rumor and getting an official notification. But something else in the mandate surprised me. They draw a really hard line on private investigators.
This is one of the most common misconceptions.
I honestly thought they were the same thing. Don't you hire a process server to find someone who's hiding?
You do, but the intent is completely different. The source says it explicitly. We do not act as private investigators for the general public.
So if I think my business partner is skimming from the company,
Nope.
or my spouse is cheating and I want someone to tail them.
You cannot call these guys. They will turn you down flat. They are not snoops for hire.
But wait, the document does mention skip tracing. Isn't that just a fancy way of saying tracking someone down?
It is, but look at the context. The mandate says skip tracing is performed strictly in connection with a process service under court appointment.
Help me understand that distinction.
It all comes back to due process. If you hire a PI, you're looking for dirt for information.
Right.
If a process server uses skip tracing, they're just looking for a location to deliver the court's message. Their goal is to find the person to make sure that person has their day in court. They aren't spying, they're facilitating.
So the moment the paper is delivered, their job is over.
Done. They don't care what the person is doing, who they're with, or what's in their trash.
So they're like a homing pigeon. Find the target, deliver the message, fly home. No photos.
That's a great way to put it, and it protects the integrity of the whole case.
The governance doc has one more big disclaimer. No legal advice. Seems obvious, but I bet people ask them for advice constantly.
Oh, imagine someone hands you a lawsuit saying you owe $50,000.
Yeah, your first question is, what do I do? How do I fight this?
Exactly. And the process server has to just stand there.
And say nothing.
They have to. The source warns they are not attorneys. If they gave you advice, even something that seems helpful, like you should file an answer by Friday, they could be practicing law without a license. It compromises their neutrality.
Wow.
They are the mechanism, not the advisor.
It's such a rigid box they operate in. You're not a cop, you're not a spy, you're not a lawyer. You are purely the messenger.
But as we're about to see with the Lake Charles documents, being just the messenger is incredibly difficult when the terrain changes.
This is the part of the stack that really grabbed me, the Calcasieu Curveball.
Yeah.
But before we get into that nightmare scenario, let's talk about the business context for a second. We've got this sponsorship note here about paper trails and 337 Media.
Right. And it's important to remember these process-serving firms are small businesses. They're not government agencies. They've got bills to pay, gas, servers.
And they have to find clients. The source mentions 337 Media as the engine behind successful Acadiana brands, talking about building websites and mastering local SEO.
Think about it from the user side. If you're a landlord in Lafayette and your tenant stops paying, you probably don't have a process server on speed dial. What's the first thing you do?
I Google it. Process server near me.
Exactly. And that is where 337 Media comes in. They bridge that gap between the digital need and the physical service. If these servers aren't visible online, if they don't have that SEO foundation, they might as well not exist.
It's the whole ecosystem. 337 Media handles the visibility so these guys can handle the complexity.
And as we're about to find out, if you hire the wrong person, just some general courier you found online instead of a pro, you are in for a world of trouble.
Okay, let's go to Lake Charles. Let's talk about this complexity.
The Calcasieu Curveball.
The source material is titled The Calcasieu Curveball, Mastering Eviction Service in Lake Charles. It sets up this contrast between Lafayette and Lake Charles, that is. Honestly, kind of shocking. I just assumed the law was the law.
The statutes are the same. The Louisiana Code applies statewide, but the interpretation of those statutes, that's entirely local.
Okay, so walk me through the Lafayette scenario described in the source.
Right. So say you're a landlord in Lafayette. Tenant's not paying. You need to serve them a 5-day notice to vacate. This is step one.
Step one. Got it.
In Lafayette, the source suggests there's a common practice called posting.
Posting, like on social media.
No, physically posting it, taping the notice to the front door.
Oh.
Maybe you take a picture of it for proof. And in many places, including apparently Lafayette, this is considered service. The court accepts it, and the eviction moves forward.
Okay, so baseline is tape it and go. Now, take that same landlord, same problem, but move the house about 75 miles west to Lake Charles. Specifically, Calcasieu Parish, Ward 3.
And the source is incredibly specific about Ward 3. It warns judges in Ward 3 are stricter.
How much stricter?
They generally do not accept posting for that 5-day notice. They require personal service.
Personal service. So hand-to-hand delivery.
It means you have to physically hand that piece of paper to the tenant or, someone of suitable age at the residence. You cannot tape it to the door.
You can't leave it in the mailbox or under the mat.
Nope. You have to make contact.
So let's play this out. I'm a landlord. I hire a guy who doesn't know about the Calcasieu Curveball. He drives to Ward 3, knocks. No answer. So he tapes the notice to the door, takes a picture, and tells me, job done.
And you think the job is done. You wait your 5 days, tenant's still there, you go to court to file the eviction, you stand before the judge in Ward 3, and you show your proof of service.
Which is the photo of the notice on the door.
And what does the judge do? According to this source, the judge could throw your entire case out immediately. Dismissed.
Because of a piece of tape.
Because you failed to meet the procedural standard of that specific court. The judge basically says, you didn't serve him, you just littered on his porch.
That is devastating. I mean, think about the time lost.
It's huge. You have to start the entire process over. Serve a new notice, wait another 5 days, all while the tenant is still living there for free. You're out hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars.
All because your server didn't know the preference of a judge in one specific ward.
This is what you meant by the envelope being a hand grenade. The content is the same, the law is the same, but the geography changes everything.
It highlights a reality that lawyers know, but most of us don't. Local rules can be more important than state statutes in practice.
Right. A statute might say service must be reasonable, but if a local judge decides reasonable means hand-to-hand, Well,
then that's the law in that room.
that's the law.
So how does a professional server actually handle this in Ward 3? If the tenant knows an eviction is coming, they're just going to hide, right? They won't answer the door.
That is the challenge. And this is why that whole PI distinction we talked about is so interesting.
They have to outsmart the person without being a spy.
Exactly. They might have to show up at 6 a.m. or 10 p.m. at night. They have to catch the person coming or going. It takes real patience. In Lafayette, you can tape and leave. In Lake Charles, you might have to sit in your car for hours.
Which explains why the governance document emphasizes professionalism so much. If you're just paying someone minimum wage, they are not going to stake out a house for 3 hours.
No, they're going to tape it and leave. And you're going to lose your case. The Calcasieu Curveball isn't just a quirk, it's a filter. It filters out the amateurs.
It really reframes what you're buying. When we looked at the sponsor, 337 Media, helping these businesses get found online, the service being sold isn't just delivery.
Yeah.
It's risk mitigation.
That's a perfect way to put it. You aren't paying them to drive a car. You're paying them for the institutional knowledge that Judge X in Ward 3 hates taped notices. You're paying for the intellectual property of the local map.
This whole thing has made me realize how fragile the legal system actually is. We think of it as this big stone building, but it seems like it's held together by tiny procedural threads.
And if you pull one of those threads, like using the wrong service method, the whole thing just unravels.
So to recap, we've debunked the Hollywood myth. They're not cops, not PIs, and they're definitely not giving legal advice. Their authority comes from that magic spell, CCP Article 1293.
And we learned that modern business practices, supported by companies like 337 Media, are what allow these specialized problem solvers to even connect with the people who desperately need them.
But the biggest takeaway for me is absolutely the Calcasieu Curveball. The idea that a 5-day notice behaves differently depending on which side of a parish line you're on.
It's the ultimate lesson in the details matter. In the legal world, there's no such thing as a standard job. Every jurisdiction has its own personality.
So next time you see someone walking up a driveway with a white envelope, don't just think mailman. Think about the invisible minefield they're navigating.
And if you're a landlord in Lake Charles, maybe don't buy any Scotch tape.
Yeah, you won't need it. Good advice. Before we wrap up, I just want to leave you with a final thought that's been nagging at me. We've spent all this time talking about how one tiny procedural error taping versus handing can completely void a legal case.
The butterfly effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder if the validity of your eviction case depends entirely on the geography of where that paper was delivered. What else is geography dictating?
That's a great question.
How many other legal rights or protections do we think we have nationwide that actually just vanish or appear depending on which specific judge is sitting on the bench in which specific ward?
That is the question. The law is written in ink, but it's applied by people. And people are local.
If justice is blind, why does it seem to care so much about your zip code? Something to chew on. Huge thanks to the team for compiling these sources and to 337 Media for the context. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.